I've been gaming since before I was a year old, and I've led a career involving talking about and sharing video games, but I've always been more of a casual gamer. But these days, I feel like there's no room for me. In an algorithmically driven world, only the most obsessed, dedicated players of any given franchise or niche are able to make space for themselves, and the casual gamer is getting erased. Often literally. Let me explain. It's crazy to think about now, but my entire career has been built on the drive to share my passion for games. Whether it was sick Halo and Call of Duty multiplayer clips, silly RuneScape moments, or reviews of what I had been playing, I always wanted to talk about my hobby and share it with others. Without many people with the same level of interest in games in my close proximity, I turned to gaming magazines. Game Informer, Nintendo Power, EGM, PC Gamer, PlayStation Underground, PlayStation Magazine, both unofficial and official. I would read them all, poring over the pages looking for juicy details of upcoming games and consoles, and most excitedly to me, reading the editorials, the opinion and discussion pieces, and reviews. I didn't just care about the facts. I wanted to know why someone liked or disliked a game, and how the context of other games that they enjoyed played a role in that. As a kid with no insight into how media worked, magazines were this big formal publication where grown-ups who were serious about video games, getting paid to play them and write about them, existed. They knew better than me, and I dreamed of being one of them one day. Part of the appeal was the fact that despite being a gamer since I was 9 months old, I was objectively and unashamedly a casual gamer. I was glued to my Game Boy every day from age 5, but console and PC time was heavily restricted by my parents. 20-minute sessions were commonplace unless we were all playing as a family, and I would rarely make much progress in any sort of single-player game. I got to play a wide variety of games. Crash Bandicoot and Tekken were family favorites, plus a variety of racing games. Medieval, Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and Spyro filled my memories. And of course, the countless hours I spent in Pokemon. Big story games felt like something only adults could manage to play through. Finishing a video game seemed like a rare historic accomplishment, and unlocking secrets or cracking complex puzzles without guidebooks seemed impossible. Pokemon hours aside, I was a casual, a filthy casual. The people writing for the magazines I read were real, hardcore gamers. Ultimately, being a casual gamer didn't matter much in life. My broad experiences still let me enjoy the best of the best and chat with anyone about just about any genre of game. I had a buddy who was a hardcore gamer and would let me watch as he finished games like Metal Gear Solid without issue, so I get to pick up on the nerdy bits of those along the way. Magazines began fading from relevance as TV became more accepting of video games. As I was entering high school, I no longer just wanted to write for gaming mags, but I wanted to go work for G4 TV and make TV reviews of video games. I wanted to be involved in the technical side of capture and the creative side of editing, too. Then, as I entered college, G4 would start to shut down, and machinima was the next target. New media was here, and web video was the future. Through all of this, I discovered my own path of review writing, video making, and eventually content creation. Being a casual gamer meant I get to spend the extra hours my friends would be putting into beating every video game they had, raiding in World of Warcraft, or getting skilled at Smash Bros. Or Call of Duty, instead getting great grades, mastering writing and video editing, and forging a path. And I was still able to share my love of video games through my videos anyway. First on VHS and DVDs, I'd film or capture highlights and edit them together, then later through Xfire, Google Video, Dailymotion, and eventually YouTube. Being a casual gamer was a good thing. It meant I got to experience and talk about all sorts of games and share my passion in the videos I'd learned to make. It was great. I couldn't see myself doing anything else as a 9-to-5, so I made a career out of it. But fast forward to today, and it's harder than ever to make it talking about games. Actually, in some ways, it's easier than ever, but only if you're super dedicated to and probably obsessed with a singular game, franchise, or genre. Channels, reviewers, and outlets that cover a wide variety of games used to be the perfect way for the rest of us to discover hidden gems, new games that maybe didn't get a ton of marketing, or evaluate if the next game was worth our time or not. Series like Giant Bomb's Quick Look or Total Biscuit's WTF Is were the perfect vehicles for viewers to not only be introduced to new games and evaluate if they were worth playing, but also build a deeper understanding of the game itself, its mechanics, the context that led to its creation, and how to evaluate whether you might appreciate a game yourself. That kind of format is dead. It's old hat. It's representative of the way things used to be, and not how you survive now. These days, if you go looking for gaming videos, most of what rises to the top is content from people whose entire focus is a singular game or franchise. Their entire video set, personality, history, and coverage is on that one game, or at best, some adjacent games covered in the context of their main game. Minecraft, RuneScape, Pokemon, Call of Duty, Fortnite, Channels blossom overnight when these games get new releases, updates, or bursts of relevance, but equally suffer when the opposite happens, such as channels that primarily focused on games like Halo, Splitgate, or Overwatch. The same thing applies to streaming too. Every full-time or attempted growing streamer has to contend with the fact that trying to maintain their sanity by expanding outside of that game that they blew up with means reaching far fewer viewers, at least at first, which also means less revenue. And that's not to say any of these channels are bad. I learn a ton about Pokemon from diehards like Tamahiro, and I thoroughly enjoy peeking into the history of RuneScape with Colinello and getting a full picture about things that I only caught glimpses of back in the day. But the concept itself can be suffocating. For those who truly hold that obsession over their main subject matter, they either thrive or they burn out quick as the content hamster wheel ruins the fun for them. For those who can get bored of doing only one thing for so long, it can feel like a trap that you can't get out of. This was by design too. As a former YouTube consultant for a leading MCN, niching down was one of the most common strategies in the 2016 to 2018 era of YouTube that we would help people figure out, where focusing on your most popular video niche and tying anything else back to that resulted in the most rapid growth. But now we're seeing the consequences more than ever before. It's hard to look at a homepage, subscriptions feed, subreddit, social media website, whatever, and see only the voices of the most obsessed players be given spotlight and not wonder, where do I fit in? I recently saw a post in the Marvel Rivals subreddit where someone was confused why it seemed like everyone was miserable with the game and couldn't believe that no one was having fun. But the diehards on the subreddit made it look that way. As a creator, it's virtually impossible to build an audience covering a variety of games without a hardcore obsession and inherent authority over each. This used to be a viable idea, but the current algorithm trends on every platform push sameness over anything else. This concept is often referred to as monoculture. Liked a video, or worse, a short that you had no control over being shown to you about Kingdom Hearts? Congrats! You're gonna see nothing but Kingdom Hearts pushed onto you for weeks, trying more and more to push you down this particular rabbit hole. Oh, you watched a couple Pokemon speedrun clips from this one specific channel? Well, YouTube is only going to show you their Pokemon videos from now on. Good luck finding out that they actually post quite a few different games that you might enjoy watching. This is an increasingly frustrating experience as a viewer, with no end of complaints of new videos not being surfaced and recommendations getting thrown off by a single wayward view. And as a creator, this, combined with no end of drastic twists and degrading of the site's policies and algorithms, has a devastating effect on the channel's sustainability, on top of the loss of creative freedom in it all. Even if you aren't a creator and you just want to enjoy talking about the games you're playing, this disproportionate emphasis on the most codependent players and creators of a given game means that the discourse is flooded with parroted talking points from the latest streamer's hot take or YouTuber whining about wokeness by people who haven't even played the game and are just parroting that creator. Meanwhile, any attempt at a nuanced discourse is shut down if you haven't personally hit the end credits or invested the first 500 hours into figuring everything out. It's hard to be a casual gamer with nuanced opinions and even have a place to talk about games anymore. Short-form content and social media leaves no room for nuance, and the race to the bottom by view-starved egomaniacs means only the most soundbite-worthy ideas are taken seriously. It doesn't matter how supposedly tired the internet is of the latest unshowered Twitch personality. The people on social media seem incapable of not shoving his hot takes into your feed just to tell you how bad they supposedly are, instead of just, highlighting people who don't smell and have something meaningful to say. Hardcore content and discourse isn't always even desirable to a casual in the first place. I love Pokemon deeply. I grew up with the first games and the toys and the anime and the cards, and Pokemania still lives in my body like a benign tumor that I refuse to have removed. But every time I am watching what seems like a nice discussion about the franchise, and the creator breaks out the hidden power numbers of a Pokemon through the generations, or talks about egg hatching shiny rates, or playing 5 copies of the game at a time to get a frame-accurate speedrun time and exploit this certain glitch, I can feel the magic slipping away. For some, it's just another way of enjoying their favorite game on a deeper level, which is great. But for others, it can suck away all the joy. Plus, hardcore discussions like that tend to just be completely inaccessible to the casual or the newbie. As we're watching traditional games media seemingly let out its final gasp of air as it dies a slow, brutal death, I'm left wondering where the room for casual gamers and variety exposure has gone. It used to be that casuals were who made games successful. Halo's incredible sandbox, plethora of different game modes and community interaction tools, definitely enabled the hardcore and most esports-oriented players to do their thing, but also allowed for Halo 3 to be one of the biggest game launches of all time, specifically because everyone was playing it. casually. Older multiplayer titles stayed alive on the back of casual communities who wanted to just easily hop in and out of their familiar games. MMO servers were populated with just as many people still figuring their way around the world as people who were doing dungeon runs and hardcore in-game raids. These days, every single game expects to be your second job, with time-limited events, battle passes, extreme playtime grinds for unlocks, and still have the gall to keep asking you to spend more and more money. Preservation is sacrificed in the name of keeping people on the latest thing that they can suck players' wallets dry from. Playing and enjoying a game is no longer enough. You have to be invested in it fully, or you're not even a target customer anymore. And casual gamers have been falling off as a result. Alana Pierce just put up a video packed to the brim with data about gaming trends, spending, playing habits, and investments, and so on. In it, she reveals that the data shows that casual gamers just aren't gaming anymore. Instead, that time is spent brain rotting on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Twitch streams. People are spending more time watching and discussing video games than playing them now, which only serves to further feed this dysfunctional system and perpetuate the problem. I mean, why keep making videos or streams about games if only the most no-life hot take fueled creators find success now? And why take the time to think critically about games or even put in the effort to play them yourself when you can just watch said creators do it for you and parrot their nonsense ideas as if you'd actually spent time with the game? The rise of monoculture, which is basically what this phenomenon is, the tendency to stick towards a more limited pool or more familiar and usually corporate-backed media, was called out and decried much around 2019. As Disney continued to gobble up the Hollywood landscape and major gaming publishers consolidated every IP they could into giant hubs, red flags were thrown up everywhere about how this would affect everyone's relationship with these mediums. Yet it feels like we came out the other side of the pandemic without any drive to fight these changes, instead just quietly accepting and even embracing them. This was a mistake. I don't know what the solution is. There's no easy answer for mass change. There's no magical rhetoric that can convince everyone to stop being a part of this problem. But something's got to give. Gaming is at its best when everyone can enjoy it and diverse perspectives and experiences are involved. I think about casual games like RuneScape and Warframe, where some of the best experiences come from hardcore players helping out newbie players and building up that community base, not just making games inaccessible to those who aren't going to live their entire life in the game. Anyone who was a fan of a long-running game or franchise has experienced the detrimental impact of the studio bringing on the most hardcore of players, try to adhere to their demands or desires for the game, and everything losing its charm. That's happened across the entire industry, and multiple industries, since it's affecting the media side of things too. We need more thoughtful, nuanced participation. It's easy to say that you should just avoid social media or some other similar solution, but in an increasingly online-only world, finding close connections about your niche interests can be more difficult in person. We also need more real game developers making video games for people who want to play them as games, not as wallet-draining simulators. Click the video in the end card to see why I think AA gaming might save the industry in that regard. And remember to be kind. Rewind.